at the top of the show, Anfield is a place where Arsenal haven't got the best results in recent years, Izzy. Psychologically, as players, will they go to Anfield fearing Liverpool, even though Liverpool aren't in the best form right now?
Oh, that's an excellent question, because we've seen in the past that Mikel Arteta has prepared his team to play at Anfield by putting the Anfield noise and You'll Never Walk Alone on the speakers at the training ground to try and make the players sort of accustomed to the atmosphere at Anfield. But I tell you what, it's one thing preparing for it, but it's another thing being there. And the atmosphere when it generates inside that stadium is unbelievable. And that is something which I think the Arsenal players this season will better cope with than in previous years, because I feel like they've all just grown under Arteta's management, and Arteta's grown as well. We've seen he's had some pretty excitable moments on the touchline at Anfield, hasn't he? Let's say the least, with Jurgan Klopp. And I just feel like he's definitely matured since then, and he'll be ready for it tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, these are just some of the goals that we've seen Liverpool put past Arsenal in the last few years, Sam. What do you think we can expect from them tomorrow? Do you expect this to completely reverse?
From Liverpool? Yeah, I do expect it to reverse. I think Arsenal will be too good. In terms of like the atmosphere and dealing with it once you're there versus preparing for it, I'm wary of making everything I talk about City reference, but I've been at Anfield for big games against City, and Gary Neville always says, you've got to ride out the first 20 minutes. And if you do, and City do that by keeping the ball and keeping Liverpool at arm's length, it does quieten the crowd down. And also I think the crowd will be going in. They might be whipped up at the start, but I think with the whole situation around Liverpool at the moment, there's not that bite in there like it would be if it were a challenging game against City. So I think if Arsenal go, they start well against a team that aren't really at their standard, well, they're nowhere near their own standards. The fans are a bit unsure. But I think within 15, 20 minutes, you could see Arsenal bossing it, and then Arsenal rack up the goals from there. I don't know about rack up the goals. I'm not saying they'll get 3 or 4, although maybe in the predictions I did say they get 3. But I think Arsenal have really grown, and obviously Liverpool have dropped off quite a bit. And if you put those two things together, I can only see Arsenal doing it.
The only thing is, though, is that we've seen Liverpool this season, as Sam said, not being anywhere near their best. That's clear to see. They're 8th in the table as things stand, and obviously Arsenal are top. But when Liverpool haven't been at their best, they still put 7 past Manchester United just a few weeks ago. So I'm not comparing Arsenal to Manchester United, but they clearly have the ability to turn it on for certain games.
Yeah, they do. That's right. And I think that what I'm seeing from this Liverpool side this season especially is just inconsistency. Like I said, they've put 7 past United, but they're failing to pick up points elsewhere. And I just think the midfield has changed for Liverpool. I'm a midfielder myself, and I analyse the midfield a lot when I'm watching football. And I'm just looking at the way the dynamics work, and I can see, to go off what Sam said, if the Arsenal midfield get working tomorrow when they play against Liverpool, I just feel like they're going to overrun Liverpool in midfield, and that's where the chances are going to create. And I can't help but think Martinelli is going to get the best of Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back if he plays. And I just think that generally speaking, Arsenal's structure and their system is going to be too much for Liverpool.
Well, if he plays is a really interesting point, because in the last match, Jurgan Klopp made a fair few changes. That's not something that's been characteristic of Jurgan Klopp in the start of the season, perhaps. Obviously, the last couple of games, he has changed things a bit. Salah and Gakpo were both on the bench to start, as was Trent Alexander-Arnold. Do you expect all of those players to come back in for this?
It's difficult, isn't it? Because, like you say, it's not something he normally does. And also, over the years, even when they were at the top, they didn't... Even years ago, when they were really at the top, when the bench was like Minamino and Shaqiri, they were fine for the last 20 minutes, half an hour, but he never rotated too much at the start of the game, and never really had to. And they always managed it really well. But now it just seems to have got to the stage where there's an element of, well, they just played Man City, and then they've got another game, so it makes sense, sports science-wise, to make those changes. But it just feels like Klopp's thinking, well, what can I try now?
Yeah.
Like other managers, because he said, didn't he, before the game, the elephant in the room is, I've not been sacked. But with other managers, you get sacked before you have to try plan X or whatever. It feels like what he's up to now. It's like, okay, well, if I just change everyone, we'll see what happens. But it didn't really work anyway, because I thought they should have lost against Chelsea.
Part of the wider problem, what I think at Liverpool, is fatigue. And I don't mean that by numbers. I don't think the amount of sports science that's used in the game now, stats are used to sort of gauge players' performances and what they can go and do week on week. But like Sam said, they've had to rotate because the players are fatigued and not able to sustain that sort of high intensity press that we've seen from Klopp so often.
Yeah, you mentioned a minute ago about the midfield, so I'm guessing Virgil van Dijk being available and coming back into the side for the game on Sunday probably doesn't make all that much of a difference if midfield is where their real issue is.
We've been really critical. Van Dijk's definitely not been himself this season, and that's been a key feat of how Liverpool have been so secure at the back with the back four and the communication of Van Dijk into the midfield. And Fabinho, he's not working. He looks really out of place, and you kind of think, well, if you take Van Dijk out of the side for injury or whatnot, you go, okay, well, how's Fabinho going to function? Fabinho's performance has dropped. So it just seems something isn't quite right there. And my opinion is that I think it's fatigue.
From an Arsenal perspective then, Sam, obviously they're absolutely desperate to win this title this season and not drop any points between now and the end of the campaign. There isn't long left. With this match, if they win it, is that pretty much the title done? No?
No way. How could it be? How could it be? There's
I guess on paper,
still so many games to go.
On paper, this game and the Man City game on the 26th of April are
the two biggest games. If they were to beat
left.
City, then you think, okay, because then, presuming the gap stays as it is, get down to 5. But then Arsenal win, and it's 8 points with a few games to go. They're obviously much closer to it. But they can't win this and then think that's it over. You would have to say from the outside, they've passed another big test, like a major test. But they've got difficult games to come. And, we've seen this with title races, not so much in the past because City and Liverpool have just taken it to incredible levels, but normal title races before this City and Liverpool era, teams would lose in like April and May, and that would be normal. But recently, you think if a team drops points, that's it. There's so long to go, and, we're so accustomed to going back to like 7 or 8 years ago when City won it on the Pellegrini. They lost at Anfield, and everyone was like, oh, that's it, that's the title wrapped up. Because that was like middle of April. And then obviously the Gerrard slip happened and all that kind of stuff. Mad stuff happens in title races.
Well, aside from the fact that we've seen Manchester City do it before, let's just park that for a second because we're going to come on and talk about Man City in a minute. But from an Arsenal side of things, have you seen any warning signs that the fans should be worried about, that they are going to slip up?
No.
Well, I keep thinking, next fixture is going to be a warning sign, and then they overcome it.
Yeah.
So for me, they're ticking every single box at the moment. When you think they're under every test against the opposition.
It was that Villa one, wasn't it? Just after the City game.
Exactly, and I think the only fear that Arsenal can have, and it's not one specific game, but it's just the whole concept of being chased by City. And if you're being chased by anyone, you don't want to be chased by City because of the mentality at that club.
And at the moment as well, they're boosted by having Gabriel Jesus back and straight back into the starting 11 and scores 2 goals as well.
They've got everything going for them, and the only reason to think they might not win the league is like just this. Well, this may happen. They may fall apart. They may not be used to the title pressure. The closer it comes, the more nervous they get. But people have been saying that, thinking it would happen in January, February, March. Now we're in April. It hasn't happened yet. But
you look at those moments like with Jesus being out injured for such a long period of time, and you go, well, who's going to score the goals?
Open, Vinny. Jurgan, just wanted to check on team news. First of all, Virgil, Diaz, Thiago, Naby, how are they? Anyone likely to be back for?
Virgil, of course, completely normal, back in training. Luis and Thiago training completely normal. We have to. The plan with Luis is that he will be available 100% for Leeds. So just again, it looks good, everything is fine, but it was a long injury, and so we have to be careful, and we will probably not involve him for Sunday. Thiago looks slightly different. He was not out that long. Trained now 3 4 times with the team. And might be available, but we have to check how he feels today.
You know about your record against Arsenal at Anfield. Last time they took a point was 2016. Last time they won at Anfield was 2012. But do you sense that this Arsenal is pretty different to what you competed against before in your time here?
Yeah, I don't know. I knew Arsenal before I arrived at Liverpool, obviously, but never felt. Well, yes, I did actually in the Champions League, right? At Dortmund. So. It's obviously a different team, clear. Mikel is building this team for a few years now, and obviously the outcome is pretty impressive. The way they play is fun to watch, to be honest. It's super lively, really good football, top players on the pitch. good match plans. So yeah, good. I know. It's not exactly what you can say about us in a moment. So that makes it. That shows you what is the situation. But at least for a while, we can mention again. It's still it's Anfield, so we are at home, and we still have to show reaction after reaction after reaction. We have to and improvement, and that's what we will absolutely try on Sunday.
Just to follow up, what's the key to getting or seeing a brighter, a braver Liverpool? Because we know you can do it. You did it against. Good
moments in games, building on that. So that's how it is. Good challenges, good battles in little areas, and then keeping the ball. Because our main problem at Chelsea now, when you look at that game, it was like flipper. We have the ball, we give it away. We have the ball, we give it away. We have the ball, we give it away. It's like you cannot watch that quick. It's like from an analyst point of view, you think the computer's broke, and that's obviously. Not how it should be. I liked about the game was the desire, the passion we put in. But of course, there were still two situations where they scored, but it was a handball, so that's now something. And the other one was offside. We still have to prove the point how it would have looked if we were 1-0 down. But again. It's like that. So this game is gone, and now we have a new chance, and that's how it always is. We have 2 days longer to prepare the game. Means we have 3 sessions, which is absolutely 3 proper sessions, which is very, very helpful, where we really can train, and it usually always helped us, and that's what we think this time again as well, and so. We will give it a proper try, and that we need Anfield is clear, and I really hope. That's why I said after the Chelsea game, I think people saw a few things which they think, okay, that was better than before. So, come on, let's go from here.
You mentioned Anfield. How important is the Anfield factor? You've won 30 points at Anfield this season.
Yeah.
Just one thing. So how important is it?
Very important. So obviously we need 40, 50,000 Liverpoolians at away games, and it might look different. So it's not the only thing we should rely on. It's not that we think, okay, it's Anfield, so we will win. Well, a lot of tough games involved, and we lost, unfortunately, games as well here, which was not helpful at all. Yeah, but it's no secret that the combination of our people and the ground and then the boys is a pretty good combination. So that's what we have to throw in as well, but not relying on it. We have to push the train, and yeah, in this moment, I have a very good feeling that we can do it.
At the start of the season, I don't think many people thought Arsenal could or would win the league. I wonder what you have made of them and the sort of challenge that they will bring on Sunday.
Yeah, that's easy because you think when you watch at the team and stuff like this, and then you think, okay, City will win it, and don't think too much about like if you're not yourself, and if you thought actually we can give them a proper fight. But Arsenal deserves where they are, so it's a mix of really, really good football and extreme emotions, I would say, from everywhere, but just a good way to play. To be honest, it's like I know people are asking for time for managers, that they have more time, stuff like this, to can develop this. I really think Mikel deserved each minute he got there. When it was not going perfectly well. In the beginning, maybe the steps were not big enough for some people and stuff like this, and now they are there. The team is very well set up. And good transfers on top of that, but a stable, last year already, a pretty stable team. Brought in, obviously, super important players, but not too many. And that's what they're using now.
Jurgan, you said before the run of these 3 games this week that you were super excited it would define your season. Do you still believe that it will define your season?
Unfortunately, it could or can. If we win this game at a weekend, which was the plan, obviously, then we would have 4 points out of these games. That would be a completely normal situation for us, I would say. In the past, when we played Chelsea in our best moments, it was not much better. To be honest, we played there. It was always difficult. Maybe might have won 1 or 2 games there, but most of the time we drew there and stuff like this. Last year, I think it was last season, when I wasn't right, I sat at home with COVID. We started very well, and then we got more or less pushed to the wall, and it was a draw in the end. So losing at City is possible. It was always possible. And now we have to win a football game. So, and then we will see again. I understand that from your point of view, it's super difficult to find new questions every week. But believe me, it's even more difficult to find new answers. So, that's why I thought 9:30 and you all stay at home and you can write what you wrote last week or whatever. So it doesn't make the situation better. So we have to play better football. How I said, we have to keep the ball in the decisive areas. We cannot pass the ball into their feet. And that now sounds so simple. But the last game is a super example against Chelsea. 2 teams who played last year an incredible level. Teams were not that different to the teams who showed up now. And both were not able to do that. So now we can say, 22 players, they don't want to, and 11 from us, they don't want. No, it's not that they don't want. They want desperately. They want it even more than in good times. Even more. But it didn't work out. So that just shows us what happens if the confidence level is obviously not on highest level. So, and that's where we have to go through, and you cannot force it really. Say, come on, be more confident. So that doesn't work. So we have to help the boys with different things, and that's what we do. And in a home game, a massive boost can be the crowd, obviously, celebrating challenges, celebrating a sliding tackle, ball goes out, and it's that's where it all started. Where it's all started. We block a ball and we don't win it, but block it goes out is the first little victory. And that's what you have to go and we have to build on. And all of a sudden, nobody thinks about confidence anymore. So has it, and then they are themselves again. And that's what we are working on. That this will not happen in 2028. That it will happen on the Idle World on Sunday, and from there we go again and again and again.
Mike? Yeah, again, it's very rare for you to make the number of changes that you did for the Chelsea game in midweek.
Not sure it's so rare, but yeah.
Yeah, well, 6
it's a lot.
It doesn't happen all the time. But
no, that's true.
Have you had the response since then from the players? You know, some really high-profile players left out and really good players out of form. But have you had the sort of response since then? You know, in training that makes you think that they'll be on the way back?
Yeah, we had now one proper session since then, and that, yeah, the boys are not, they don't show me that they don't want what's that or whatever, not at all. So, wow, you left me out, so now you can try to sort it yourself or whatever. This is not the situation we are in. But again, I said before the game, and I say it now, because was a different week because we play all 3 days pretty much. But from now on, if you don't play three times a week, then we have more time to train, and then I have to and I will make decisions about the team based on what I saw in training. So that's it, and that opens the door for everybody, because of course if you play 3 times a week, then the boys who play all the time, they recover. The other boys can train well, but the last game we won, so why would you make 6 changes? Because we saw one session where a few players show up. That's a different situation. So you let it go, and you keep on building and building and building. Now is what can we build on? We have to change. We have to find a basis where we really can build on. That's why I said first step, intensity, desire, passion. Good at Chelsea. Really, that was good. So the rest, not so much. But it's fine. So let's go from there. I cannot constantly ask for something I didn't get and just put the finger into that. Development doesn't work like this. Because, yeah, but this was still not okay, and this was not okay, and this was not okay. You are allowed to do that. Absolutely, you're allowed to do that because you don't work with the boys. But I'm not. The one in charge is not allowed to do that because I'm really calm in this moment. There might be a surprise, but I'm really calm. It's like I'm in it. I see everything, and I base my decisions on that. And in the end, we will see what the outcome is. That's I cannot do more. And again, we have to keep going, and we will.
Mike, I'll have to go to Carl. I've got lots of fit in, mate. Sorry.
No
Carl.
problem.
Carl.
You forgot him.
No, I've got to go to Carl.
Just on that point, the changes you made at Chelsea, how many were, or how much were your selection was influenced by performance against City, and how much was influenced by the week you had in terms of managing players' work?
How can I make the decision when both situations are, so we had a game against City, which is an influence, so physically and performance-wise. Then we have a game 3 days, so it's both. It's both. How can you make, how can you expect I give you now an answer and say 2 were because of that and 4 were because of that? That's really waste of time.
Mikel, good afternoon, good to see you.
Hello.
Can we start off with team news for Sunday and any developments and updates on William Saliba?
No, no real changes in the rest of the players that were still injured. We have some hope with one of them. Tomorrow maybe he's able to train, but we have to see.
And that is?
I'm not going to tell you.
9 games to go, it's the business end now of this title race. Are you genuinely able to enjoy it? And can you switch off? And do you switch off?
We do enjoy it, we have to enjoy it, and we really need to embrace the moment and go for it. And the team is full of enthusiasm and positivity, and we know that we have a big challenge, but it's a big opportunity to go to Anfield and do something that we haven't done for many years, and that's what is driving the team in the last few days.
Mikel, I want to take you back to the corresponding fixture last season, and that documentary showed how you approached and prepared your players for that game by the You'll Never Walk Alone music at the training ground. Can you give us an insight into how you prepared this time? Have you done anything special that you can tell us about?
For us, it's something normal. We prepare every game in a different way, and we prepare the context, we prepare the team mentally, we prepare the scenario that we're going to be playing for, and that day we decided to do that.
Last couple from me. The last league game at Anfield, it got a little bit feisty with you and Jurgan Klopp on the sidelines.
That's football. That happens in football, and after that we hug each other and move on. And last time we were together, nothing happens. I have full respect and admiration for what they've done, him and the coaching staff at Liverpool, and we moved on.
But did you learn anything about yourself, and would you approach that kind of situation differently this time?
I don't know. I have to be in the situation again, so I don't know. I reacted that day, and the way I reacted to defend our players the best possible way, and that's it. Hopefully, I don't like seeing me like this, so hopefully not.
Just finally, you mentioned that you haven't won there for so long. You were in the team when you last won at Anfield.
Yeah.
Have you used that at all as preparation for your players to tell them this is the feeling you can get? And what are your abiding memories of that day?
We've been in a few grounds that we haven't won in 17, 22 years, and another 18 in another one of them, and we have managed to do that. So we are capable of doing. We know that we're going to have to be at our very best to win the game, and certainly better than we were there, especially the second half last year when we just opened up and allowed Liverpool to attack open space in a really comfortable way. So we're going to have to be better than last year, that's for sure.
Just on a personal level though, what were your memories of that day, and winning at Anfield? What kind of feelings was it for you and the team?
Great, because before that as well, it was many years that we didn't do it. We did it once more. I think it was the year before when Van Persie scored on the 95th minute, I think it was. So some beautiful memories, an incredible stadium to play there, and just a unique experience for any player, manager to go there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anita?
Hi Mikel, how are you?
Very good.
You were just saying there that you're full of admiration for what Jurgan Klopp and his team have done there. How surprised are you by how things have gone for them this season? Because they are 8th in the table, 10th points, top 4, 29 points between your Arsenal side and his Liverpool side. Just how surprised are you that they're there at this stage of the season?
More admiration, because it shows the difficulty of being at the top and transform a football club, their identity, their beliefs, and the competitive capacity for the last 6 or 7 years at the level of they've done. and it shows how difficult it is to maintain and sustain that. So yeah, we all have difficult moments, but I think especially with what they've done at the club, I think it's something remarkable.
Whilst they have been off the pace, in particular away from home, their last home game saw them beat Manchester United 7-0. I imagine you've had a look at that as part of analysis and prep for Sunday. Other than them being really good at Anfield, what else have you taken from that game?
Obviously, they have played games, when you look for probably the expected goals in the league, they are the best. So there is things happening that are costing them points, that's for sure. But at home, you've seen a different kind of team, and we know how it is to play there. And we have prepared for that, expecting the best possible Liverpool, and us being the best that we can be. And if we do that, we're going to have a chance to win the game.
And then just finally, you've had a few additions to the team since the last game at Anfield last season, namely Jesus and Zinchenko, who know what it's like to come up against them and play them and win. One player I wanted to ask you about was Leandro Trossard, because of course he already scored a hat-trick against them earlier this season. How much of an advantage does that add to your side going into this game?
It's great to have a player that has experienced something really nice and positive on that stadium, and Ale was a crucial player on that day. It was a beautiful game to watch, and that's what we need, players with a lot of belief on that pitch, that we can go there and win it.
Thank you, and best of luck.
Thank you.
Hi Mikel,
Hi.
hope you're well. You were mentioning about the difficult run of form you've had at Anfield in recent years. What is it about playing at Anfield that is so difficult, and what's got to change this weekend for you to get a result there?
That they are a great team, managed by a top manager, and they create an incredible atmosphere that makes it really difficult for any opponent, as it is to come to the Emirates, you know, very, very difficult. So we know that, and the opportunity is there ahead of us on Sunday to do something that we have done in the last 2 or 3 years, is to win in places that the team didn't do for many, many years.
And Granit Xhaka is having his best season in front of goal for Arsenal this year. What's changed for him this season?
Click mentality. Feeling capable of doing it, understanding where he needs to be positioned in the right moments, training, and being every single day willing to improve and support the team in the area that, in our opinion, was very necessary to take another step forward in our way of playing and winning more games.
And a few fans were disappointed that Ben White wasn't in the England squad recently. He's been so good for you this season. What have you made of his performances?
I'm extremely happy with him. Again, he's been really consistent. He has adapted to the position really well, the way they flow and the way they play, especially with a few players, and the way they link up, it's been great, and he would have other opportunities in the future for sure.
And lastly, I just wanted to ask you about the under-18s this week, getting into the FA Youth Cup final. Jack Wilshere's praised you this week for inspiring the next generation of Arsenal players, but what does it say about Arsenal right now? It's not just the men's team doing well this season, it's the women's team and also the under-18s as well.
Great for the club, that's what we want, being in all the on the front foot in every competition and having the chance to win prizes. And what women have done is remarkable. What Jack, the coaching staff, the players did the other night, it was inspirational. The way it happened at the end as well, so late, so happy, because it's very positive for the club.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi Mikel, is Bukayo Resemblance and available to start on Sunday?
Yeah, he's fine, yeah.
You mentioned Jurgan Klopp and the fact that he's built this team that's lasted over a few years. For you and this team that you've got now, is he an inspiration to you? We know your relationship with Pep's quite close, but a manager like Jurgen as well, does he have to be seen as an inspiration given what he's done over a long period of time?
For sure, and coming from abroad, the way he did it, the way he installed that clear identity, values, and the way he transmitted, and everybody bought his idea so early, and he needed some time, and then results came up in the best possible way. So yeah, for sure.
And a lot's been made the last time you won at Anfield. You've got a lot of monkeys off the back this year with some of the results you've got. You've gone to places and got results like you mentioned. Would this be another example that you and this team are progressing from the one that might have lost there so heavily in recent years?
Yes, and that's what we have to prove on Sunday, to be able to go there, perform, be emotionally sound, and do the right things that we have to do in each moment to get away with the result that we want.
And just finally, you play after City again. Do you prefer that, or is it easy to say it's all dependent on the Man City result, or do you prefer it?
that helps, but it doesn't matter, honestly. We have to focus on what we can do. There's still a lot of games to play for, and this is going to be a long race.
Simon?
Just on Klopp, Mikel, I think he's in his 7th, 8th season there. Can you see yourself having that sort of longevity at one club?
I think at a club like this, you have to earn the right to do that, and he absolutely earned that right with the way that he transformed the club, and especially with the performance and results that they had, and how much they won. So you can sustain yourself at this level only if you produce the results that are necessary to continue in this job.
And a big thing for the squad this season that they've spoken about is using painful experiences, Tottenham, Newcastle. How much going into this do you make them use what happened at Anfield last year as fuel for Sunday?
Well, there are similarities. Obviously, the context is different. The team and the players that are going to be on that pitch are going to be very, very different as well. And we have to use it in the way that becomes positive for us and give us energy and believe that we can do it. And that's what we do.
Hi, Mikel. You've got 4 attackers in really good form now. Obviously, Saka, Marcelli, Trossard, Jesus, but there's only...
And Reece.
And Reece, of course, but even more. There's only 3 places in that attacking lineup. How difficult is it to manage that in a way that continues to get the best out of them when you're going to have to leave 1 or maybe 2 of them out of the starting 11 this season?
Well, it depends on their moment. I think depends as well what we want to do and the qualities that we are seeking, a relationship that we want in certain days. And then obviously you have 5 changes, you have the ability to change the game with those players, which is great for us, and is much better to have this problem because at the moment they are working really good.
Would you have maybe a separate conversation with the ones who are left out, maybe similar to what you did with Kieran Tierney earlier in the season when you took him aside and said...
We normally do that, especially with the players that obviously are there in very much contention to understand why we needed or why we made that decision. So it's clarity, and when there is clarity, I think the emotional state of the player is much better to go and afford a club and a team like we're going to be facing on Sunday.
Hi Mikel, you spoke about the 3-2 win over Liverpool early in the season being one of your most beautiful moments at the Emirates. Did something click in the team's mindset, do you think, where they maybe realised that we're in a proper title race?
That was a big day for us, big result, and especially the way we did it, and we did it at the end after having a really good second half performance as well. All adds up, all helps, and all gives confidence to the team to go to a different level and having the belief that they can win it against these type of teams.
And you've repeatedly said over the years during your difficult times against Liverpool that you can't go there and play with fear. During that 5 losses in a row the last couple of years, did you sense that your players were playing with fear? And what makes you think now that they've got over that?
No, first of all, it's a different group. We are coming from a different position, and what I see is enthusiasm and positivity. And something you need to have that is courage. Courage to play, courage to impose yourself in the game and be dominant. And on Sunday we will try to be that team.
If you go to Liverpool and get a win, you spoke about being at stage 3 or 5. Does that take you to stage 4 if you can go?
Our result doesn't take you. Unfortunately, we wish, because then we could have been through many different phases this season, but it's not that easy. It will be very helpful, though.
Mikel, just on that touchline incident with Jurgan, on reflection, do you think that riled the home crowd up that day? Because it was 0-0 at the time, wasn't it? And you were in the game at that point.
Yeah, but after that we had the best chance in the game. And we could have gone 1-0 up. and 1 minute later we have a wild free kick, and they score a goal. Who knows? I don't know.
Because you often talk about the connection with the fans at home and how important that's been. When teams go to Anfield, it's one of the toughest places in that regard to go. So I guess the question is, do you feel everybody's got to keep their cool on Sunday to get a result? Is that a message you're particularly giving to the players?
They know that. They've been experienced that. They know we are aware of that, and we know what we have to do, but nothing different. That's it. We've been playing in top display. We went to White Hart Lane and did what the team did, and the atmosphere doesn't get much harder than that.